Good morning, everyone. It's Sandeep Kumar Sahu. Welcome you all to the online class of iron making. In this class, we will discuss about various routes of iron and steel making, blast furnace shape, the peculiar shape of our blast furnace burden. This in brief, various routes of iron and steel making in a phase diagram. In the y-axis, it's oxygen and carbon, and in the x-axis, it's temperature in degree centigrade. You can find Fe2O3 that contains about 30% oxygen stoichiometrically. When we reduce Fe2O3 in blast furnace, it's about 1000 to 1100 degrees centigrade. In dry state, more than 90% of the reduction takes place, and the rest 5 to 10% in liquid state may be taking place. When we go towards the bottom part of our blast furnace and we find the liquid materials inside the furnace, some amount of reduction may take place at this point, but moreover the iron gets carburized at this region. Approximately the oxygen content is 0 at 1100 degrees centigrade. That means in solid state. And when we talk about our direct reduction, DR process, producing sponge iron or hot briquetted iron, that is HBI, it is seen that reduction is complete at much lower temperature at about 900 degrees centigrade. Two types of DR process are there. One is your coal-based process and gas-based process. In coal-based process, we use non-metallurgical coals, and in gas-based process, we use natural gases. That is that is your pre-treatment natural gases. That is reformed natural gases, and the sponge iron we get in these cases are purer than that of the molten blast furnace, as sponge iron is in solid state and impurities cannot easily diffuse into it. The only thing we have to do is to separate the gangue either by crushing, grinding or any other means, or melting in an electric arc furnace is mostly adopted to separate the gangue in the form of slag. The carbon content is not high in case of sponge iron making. It's not high as that of the pig iron. In gas-based process, it's about 2%, and in coal-based process, it is even less than that. It's about 0.2%. Then scrap. What is scrap? As per our phase diagram, it has about 0% oxygen and carbon. So it can be treated as a purer form of iron, and we can recycle it by melting in an electric arc furnace or induction furnace to produce liquid steel. In smelting reduction process, which is a part of our alternate routes of iron making, it adopts very high temperature for producing molten iron. The temperature is more than that of the DR process, even more than that of the blast furnace process also. Another potential method that is called direct molten steel making process that adopts further more temperature of higher temperature to produce steel from iron ore directly. So we can summarize that various routes of iron and steel making are evolving considering the environmental issues and resource utilization. That means we always looking for the process with less carbon dioxide emission and environmental pollution. Secondly, we have to look forward to those processes to utilize the lean ores. That means the ore having less amount of metallic values, along with non-metallurgical coals from which we cannot produce coke, as the higher grade ores and coals are depleting day by day. So along with this, waste utilization also should be aimed at. Overall, the blast furnace and basic oxygen furnace BF-BOF route is still dominating as it is efficient process. As an alternative route, DRI-EAF route is emerging steadily because DRI uses non-metallurgical coal and EAF is capable of accepting any amount of solid charge, unlike the BOF process which accepts only 25% of solid charge. So now we will discuss about blast furnace construction or the various parts of a blast furnace. Here it is a nice picture of blast furnace taken from A.K. Biswas book. Let's discuss about different parts of blast furnace. At the top, it is a charging device, the top cone for charging, throat for final burden distribution, stack for most of the reduction, belly and bose region, high temperature zone, tuyeres and bustle pipe for gas input and input of blast input, and the hearth, the reservoir for metal and slag. At the top, there is a charging device. Here it is shown, that is the bell charging system. It is a cup and cone arrangement used for charging the solid charge, but modern furnaces prefer bell-less charging system. Some furnaces use a double bell arrangement to ensure that the charging continues without the leakage of exhaust gas out of the furnace. So this is the bell charging system. This is the bell charging system. This is your big bell. This is your small bell. So the top cone has these charging systems. But nowadays, most of the furnaces have bell-less charging system. So nowadays, this type of charging system has been being used because bell-less top charging facility has some advantages like distribution flexibility and uniform distribution, ease of maintaining high top pressure, less downtime for maintenance, overall less furnace height, and so on. Next, we find a cylindrical portion. The cylindrical portion in the blast furnace after the conical section, that is called your throat. Here we find the final burden distribution device. In case of bell-less system, it's a distributing chute. Here it is the distributing chute. And in case of bell charging system, it is the armor plate. The armor plate, basically these are movable throat armors. These are the movable throat armors. These deflect the burden to different cross sections of the blast furnace. These are responsible for reducing the wear of refractory lining of the stack, along with ensures the uniform motion of the furnace burden. We know that a huge amount of blast furnace gas are generated during the course of iron ore reduction inside a blast furnace. To collect this huge amount of gas, because we cannot discharge it to the atmosphere, because it creates pollution, along with it has some amount of calorific value, so we have to use this. So to collect these gases, there are 4 exhaust pipes connected to the furnace top evenly at 4 points. So in figure, these 2 points are shown, and in the other side there will be other 2 points. So 4 points. These are connected below the big well of the blast furnace. These rise vertically up above the furnace top and then join to a bigger single pipe which goes down to the dust catcher to deliver the gas for cleaning. This down coming pipe is called your downcomer. What is bleeder? In a typical blast furnace, two bleeder valves are arranged at the furnace top. When the two uptakes join, then it creates a bleeder pipe, and at the top of each bleeder pipe there will be a bleeder valve. This bleeder valve acts as the safety valve, because we know that in modern blast furnace we generally adopt height of pressure which is about 1 to 3 bar above the atmospheric pressure for some advantages of the height of pressure. So we have to maintain the inside pressure at a higher level, and when the pressure increases a threshold value, the bleeder valves are open. That may be due to that may be operated under hydraulics or by counterweight. So these are the safety valves in a blast furnace. After throat, there is the stack or the shaft where most of the reduction takes place due to gas solid interaction. A proper permeable bed to maintain for effective reduction. Stack is not cylindrical. It's not cylindrical. It is a frustum of huge cone mounted on the mantle, and it extends to the top of the furnace. It is not cylindrical. If stock is not cylindrical, it tapered out to accommodate the solid expansion of the burden. As blast furnace is a counter-current reactor and temperature is increasing from top to bottom of the stack, conical construction is able to accommodate the volume expansion of the solids. There are some arrangements like your cooling of the refractory lines. We use generally copper plates or staves, and water is used as a cooling fluid. After stack, we will find another cylindrical region in a blast furnace called belly. Bose is below the belly and has a conical construction with a decreasing diameter. That means it is tapered in. During solid to liquid transformation, the material shrink, so Bose has a decreasing diameter. And tuyers are present at the bottom level of the Bose, which are inclined at some angle in the upward direction to provide blast with a high pressure to the blast furnace for reduction. Immediately above the hearth, these tuyers are located through which the hot air is blown into the furnace for combustion of the coke and produce reducing gases like carbon monoxide. Usually the tuyers are in even numbered, 10 to 20, and uniformly positioned. Air from the hot blast stove is supplied through the huge circular pipe called the bustle pipe, which by virtue of its size, enormous size, equalizes the pressure of the blast at the tuyer level. So the figure shows that the arrangement of a bustle pipe and your tuyers for a blast furnace, and a man standing to check out the operation through the peepholes. So we can imagine that how huge the blast furnace bustle pipe is. Hearth is a reservoir of hot metal and slag inside a blast furnace. Slag is taken out through slag notch. Slag is taken out through slag notch, and metal is tapped through metal notch. Generally, the slag notch is above the metal notch because the density of metal is higher than that of the slag, and the slag floats over the metal. But in case of modern blast furnaces, there is a single tap hole from which we can tap both metal and slag periodically. These holes are closed with clay by means of mud gun when not in use. It is about 3 to 3.5 meter in depth depending upon the size of a blast furnace or the productivity of a blast furnace. So the figure shows different important volumes of a blast furnace, and the most important volume is the working volume, which accounts for all the reductions from the tuer level to the zero stock line or zero burden. Generally, what is zero burden? When the big bell is closed, the line which is formed due to the base of a blast furnace, sorry, the big bell is called a zero stock line. So that much height is considered, and depending upon that height, the volume is called your working volume. So it is the essential volume for reduction. So it implies that hearth is a reservoir for metal and slag. Now we will study about blast furnace burdening. So we studied about the various sections of a blast furnace. Let's see how the top part, that means the charging device of a blast furnace, how does it work? Generally, a blast furnace can employ bell charging system or bell-less charging system. In bell charging, there are two bells. There are two bells. One is small bell at the top and the other is big bell at the bottom. And in case of bell-less charging, there is no bells. No bells. Only the distributor chute is there, which uniformly distribute the raw metal into the blast furnace. So then what is burdening? The regulation of proportion of ore, pellets, sinter, flux, coke and miscellaneous materials charged into the blast furnace is called burdening. Uniformly permeable burden offers uniform resistance to passage of outgoing gases in the countercurrent reactor, that is in the blast furnace. The production rate of a blast furnace is directly determined by the two factors. One is your rate of reduction of iron oxide, another is your rate of heating of the burden. These two factors are related to the quantity of blast that goes through the furnace and depends upon the degree and time of contact with the gases with the burden. For efficient reduction and heating of the burden should have uniform and good bulk permeability throughout the cross section, which offer uniform resistance to the blast and increase its residence time. This also enhances the carbon monoxide utilization. In other words, it decreases the coke consumption. Burden distribution is a generic term used to denote radial coke or ore distribution as well as particle size distribution in a blast furnace. The initial distribution of charge in the throat usually persists throughout the furnace shaft, so it is of much importance in the bed permeability. As we have discussed that we have two types of charging system. One is your bell charging system, another is your bell-less charging system. In bell charging system, the figure is given for the two bell charging system. It is seen from the figure that in case of bell charging, bells are not used, but there is a distribute. In bell charging system, there is two bells. Okay, sorry, there are two bells. One is your big bell, another is your small bell. In first step, this is the step-by-step operation of a bell charging system. In the first step, small bell and the large bell or the big bell both are closed. Skip bucket drops the charge in the small bell hopper. Gas is going through the optics. This is the first step. Second step, the large bell remains closed. The large bell remains closed, but the small bell opens to discharge the charge or to admit charge to the large bell hopper. That means the large bell hopper, the area, the volume above the large bell. This is called a large bell hopper. In the third step, small bell is closed. The small bell is closed and the large bell or the big bell is lowered to allow the burden to fall into the furnace. And in the fourth step, again both the bells are closed to repeat charging cycle. The rod supporting the large bell passes through the rod for the large bell. This is the rod for the large bell. Passes through the pipe which supports the small bell. So we can operate both the bells individually or independently. So nowadays we generally use bell-less charging system in almost all furnaces. In case of bell-less charging, there is no bell, but there are hoppers and a distributing chute which distributes the raw materials into the blast furnace uniformly. Bell-less charging is considered to be one of the modern trend in blast furnace due to some advantages over bell charging system, like high furnace top pressure, which is called your HTP, or the high top pressure. High top pressure is useful in case of blast furnace operation to improve its performance index. Quality of your pig iron is improved. For example, if top pressure is increased, the silicon content in the pig iron will decrease. And the compact design, low space requirement leads to reducing the height of the furnace. And also it offers flexibility in material distribution, uniformity in material distribution, and the maintenance and overhaul is easy and simple, and the cost of maintenance is also lower than that of a two bell charging system. Overall, the bell-less charging system accounts for low investment cost. So this is preferred to your bell charging system. Then we should know what are the factors that affects the burden distribution. Generally, three types of factors affect the burden distribution inside a blast furnace. The one is your furnace design, another is your physical properties of burden, and then the control system. In furnace design, angle and size of the big bell, additional mechanical devices, and speed of lowering the big bell are the main points to be considered. So angle and size of the big bell. So angle of the big bell is generally maintained at 50 to 53 degree in a typical blast furnace. So what will it support? So it is beneficial for rapid discharge and preventing sticking of wet materials, and also the clearance of the between the big bell and the furnace wall is of much of importance. We know that some dense, small and irregular particles like iron ore remain substantially where they fall, whereas light charge, smooth particles like coke rolls into the troughs. So more clearance leads to formation of crest or peaks of fines further away from the furnace wall, and formation of M-type counter or the hopper of the stock line. And when the clearance is less, that means more fines at the wall forming V counter. The permeability of the hole improves with a crest reasonably away from the wall. In other words, it accounts for keeping the clearance between the big bell and the furnace wall as large as possible, or having a large throat to bell diameter ratio. The normal clearance is nearly 800 to 1000 millimeter, or a good throat bell dia ratio seems to be 1.36. Then additional mechanical devices. What are the additional mechanical devices which improves our burden distribution? One example is your pole with bellless top. The bellless charging system proved to be beneficial for high top pressure in modern blast furnaces. Another is your that has been practiced by Tata Steel, that is the moving throat armor, and proved to be coke saving. The third point is your speed of lowering the big bell. The speed of lowering the big bell should be high enough so that it will decrease the sticking of raw materials to the big bell. But the speed of closing, that means the taking the big bell to the top or the seat, should be lower. The raising speed should be lower as it strikes the seat, and that may fail. Okay, so the speed also have some effect on your burden distribution. Then the physical properties of burden, that means the size range of the burden, angle of repose, and the density. Size and size range means the particle size and the distribution of particle size, that is the size and size range. Generally, we consider minus 5 to 10 mm particles to be fines, which should be less than 5% as a raw material in the blast furnace. The blast furnace doesn't allow much fines because it is operated at high pressure. The permeability decreases with increase in size range and percentage of fines. Top size of iron ore should be as low as possible because the rate of reduction of iron ore decreases drastically, perhaps exponentially, with increasing size. Then after, angle of repose. Angle of repose means the base angle of the conical hip of the particle formed on a horizontal plane when allowed to fall gently. That means angle of repose depends upon the particle size, along with size distribution, shape, surface characteristics, moisture content of that raw material. An average size of 18 mm iron ore has angle of repose 33 to 35, whereas coke of 45 mm is 35 to 38, and your sinter and pellets have sinter has generally 31 to 34 and pellet has 26 to 28. So surface roughness along with the moisture content, clay content, all these things can alter the angle of repose. But from this angle of repose data, we can suggest that high angle of repose means the higher the ridges. Therefore, we can go for your sinter and pellets than that of the coke and iron ores. Then the density. We use various materials inside the blast furnace like your iron ore, flux, and coke. Iron ore has the density of 5 to 6 gram per cc, whereas coke has 1.5 and flux has 3 to 3.5, which are quite different. Since density values cannot be altered, the raw material density values cannot be altered, the size may be chosen such that their difference in rolling tendency are offset to some extent. From this point of view, agglomerates are more preferable to lump ores. Then the final point, the control system which consists of distribution of charge on the big bale and stock level and order of charging. Okay. Distribution of the charge on the big bale. That means when we are talking about the charging of a blast furnace, generally two skip cars are employed to haul the charge material to the small bale hopper. The revolving distributor ensures the good mixing of the material for a charge sequence, that is coke, or down. The small bale hopper is rotated through 60 degree. Okay. After every skip is dumped on the small bale, and the small bale is lowered after every 4 skips. That means each skip, for each skip, the hopper moves 60 degree. After 4 skips, the small bale will lowered, and this goes on. When 8 such charges, that means 32 skips are deposited on the big bale, the big bale is lowered to allow the whole material to fall on the furnace. By virtue of this operation, there will be alternative layer of coke, and the mixing is improved further when it is dropped into the furnace. So this is a cyclic process. So we can find that each layer is alternative layer is arranged inside the blast furnace. Because why should we go for alternative layer actually? Because the coke is the only material which is solid till the 2-year zone. After combustion, it will convert it to ash, but before that it is solid. But the iron ore bearing material are softened and liquefied. So the main constituent that is responsible for bed permeability is your coke. So there should be coke slits which will allow the blast furnace gas to pass through it. Okay, so we have to go for alternative layers of ore coke in the blast furnace. Then the stock level. What is stock level? What is stock level? So we should know some nomenclature for blast furnace. One is your stock line. What is stock line? The distribution pattern at the top. Charge or stock level in the furnace throat. That is called your stock line. Another point, another term is zero stock line. Zero stock line. That is the horizontal plane formed by the bottom of the big bale when closed. That is your zero stock line. If we go for an example, let it be 6 feet stock level. For instance, it is located 6 feet below the zero stock line. That means the distance between the zero stock line to the contour of the raw material. That is called your stock level. So, as blast furnace is a continuous process, the stock line goes on descending, and the hopper alters as per figure. So when the raw material goes down, means the material sinks, the contour also changes. When it is near the big bale, then it is M type contour, then gradually it will be converted to V type contour. Okay, it is important to maintain stock line at optimum level. Therefore, stock line bars are used, which indicate for timely charging. These are suspended from the top and rest on the top of the burden to indicate the stock level. During charging, these are lifted and thereafter again reinserted. Then order of charging. What is order of charging? That is the sequencing of a blast furnace raw materials. Generally, we nomenclature coke as C and ore as O. So different type of charging sequences are there depending upon your furnaces size and parameters, other parameters. Proper sequencing of charge accounts for uniform gas flow in the bed. With the usual M counter, a large volume of gases passes through the peripheral ring. Maximum loading this space with iron ore leads to better gas utilization and less erosion of wall lining by gas velocity. But excessive loading may restrict the uniform gas flow. So to maintain uniformity, we have to maintain a good order of charging. Commonly used charging sequence are CN and OM. That means N skips of coke and M skips of ore. Then it is down. That means it is charged inside the furnace. So different type of charging sequences are there. So the uniformity index should be maintained inside the blast furnace. So now we can have some idea about our blast furnace charging and also its shape. So if anyone have any queries, they can ask. Thank you all.